Hello. Hey, can you guys hear me? Can you hear okay from that? Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, well, there's only a couple of you, but this is Google Analytics, kind of 101. Do you guys manage websites? Do you have websites that you manage right now? Yeah, do you use Google Analytics at this point? Okay. In-house? Okay. Is it a new site or is it a site that's been around for a while? 2 years. Okay. And do you have any, I guess, plans to add any updates or do any changes to it? Or is it just kind of maintaining it at this point? Okay. All right. Just trying to figure out what will make most sense to go through. Let's get to the standard reporting. So first of all, Google Analytics is free to anybody that wants to use it, which is a great thing because it's the greatest web analyzing tool that exists and you don't have to pay for it, and that's very rare these days. So hopefully they don't change their minds on that. So I'm just going to go through kind of the high level or most used, I guess, dashboards, which include the audience dashboard and the traffic sourcing dashboards. And basically what this is going to tell you is the traffic and referrals and how your site is being used by consumers or just by users in general, as well as how people are getting or finding your site. So this is actually based on a site that we manage called National Harbor. So this is the site on the front end that we're going to be looking at on the back end. And about a year ago, almost exactly, we were given this site. It was a very static site. It didn't have a whole lot other than like 2 or 3 pages that was just a welcome page. And then since it's kind of all types of destinations of hotels, shopping, dining, things to do, etc. They had some places where you could book hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff, but it was a very, very, very basic site. Last year we took it and transformed it into this, which is much more experiential with the tags and all these things and you know, the different images and the movement. So over the course of the past year, let's see here, we've been trying to prove that a site like this for this particular client improved significantly over the course of the past year. So we're going to just look at a short time frame. You can determine if you want to look at a year, a day, a week, a month. So we're just going to take a look at the month of November for this particular site. So the basics are right here is where you can see the actual total number of people that visited the site over the course of those 30 days. Then the next one is actually unique visitors. So these are people that came to the site for the first time ever over the course of that time period. So you can see that about, you know, the majority of it, so 68% of it was new visitors. So now we start thinking, well, what have we been doing over the past month that would have generated these unique visitors, and how can we replicate that moving forward? Kind of moving down into the other areas, page views. This is the total number of views the pages got. So there's the home page, but then there's a lot of pages embedded within this site. So in total, from the 141 people that came to the site over the course of the month, they looked at in total about 597 or 596,000 pages, which means they were each visiting on average 4.2 pages within that site. So what I'm going to do now, well, and this is a big one too, duration. You know, looking to see how long people are staying on the site, how sticky is the site. So where we really get some useful information is when we can go to compare and say, well, what did this look like a year ago in comparison to the information that we have right now? 30. Apply. Okay, so now we can go in and say, a year ago when you had your old website with kind of the static pages and very little content, over the same month you had 103,000 page views, or page visits, whereas this year with your new site you were able to exceed that by 35, almost 36%. So obviously something clicked with the users when they came back a second time. The really big kind of statistics right here when you're looking at comparisons are the page views and the page visits. So a year ago, only 212 pages total on the site were viewed, which means the majority of the people that were coming to the site were just going to the homepage and then leaving. And they were only spending 2 minutes on the site total. So there wasn't a whole lot of content on the page or on the website with the old version to keep them and to hold those consumers and to make that site a little bit more sticky to get them kind of dive deeper into the site. Whereas now, with the new layout and all the interactiveness and engagement, it's jumped, well, it's doubled to about 4.23 pages per visit. So these are the kinds of things that when we're working with a client, we can say, all right, you invested all this money in this website that we recommended and said this is what you should do. Well, now let's prove that that was the correct recommendation, and these are the kinds of statistics right here that kind of help you make that case. Another interesting thing is kind of seeing how, the traffic stays pretty consistent and then all of a sudden you see this huge jump. Well, that's because it was Black Friday, and on Black Friday we were sending out email campaigns alerting our newsletter base on the kind of the sales and promotions that were happening on Black Friday that day. Well, those emails, coupled with the fact that it was Black Friday, resulted in a significant spike as far as visitors to the site. Whereas I think, let's see here, Black Friday last year did not generate that much traffic. So now we're looking at, okay, you can't just launch your new website. There's got to be other ways for you to drive traffic to those sites, whether that's a newsletter or an e-newsletter campaign, pay-per-click advertising on websites, Facebook advertising, etc. So now as you're starting to gather all of these kinds of different bits and pieces, you can start to determine more of a strategy on how you want to market your website or how you want to market your product. So then moving down into technology. This is incredibly important, especially when you are looking to possibly update your sites, is to see which browsers your users, your visitors, are using at that moment. So for the most part, people coming to this site use Internet Explorer. Well, then if you can dive in a little bit deeper, you'll find out that people using Internet Explorer, majority of them are using IE7 or higher, which is critical because a lot of developers actually refuse to develop in anything lower than IE7 at this point. And the reason is because out of the 140,000 people that came to the website, only 212 of them are still on IE6. So to be able to develop and to design to an IE6 user severely inhibits what you can do within the site. A lot of developers, especially, or a lot of companies, still try and push designing for IE6 because they personally know some people that still use it. But the statistics right here basically telling you that of 140,000, you are going to cater that experience to just 212 of them. Do you really want to do that? Do you want to hinder what your site is capable of because 212 people are still using a dated browser? Similar with, IE5, literally one person was using it. And the interesting thing is that just a year ago there was, significantly more people that were using IE6 at that point. So making sure you're staying up to date with the most recent browser versions is important. So another item, going in and looking at mobile usage. At this point in time, everybody is pretty addicted to a mobile device, whether it's an iPad, iPhone, whatever, BlackBerry. And again, another thing that we go back and forth with clients a lot of time is we feel very, very strongly about always having either a mobile version of the website or a mobile compatible version of the website. So a mobile version is a website that is designed specifically within the dimensions of an iPhone or an iPad device. A mobile kind of compatible just means that the existing website sort of condenses automatically once it's within that screen. So it's not doing it customized, it's just making sure that it can adapt. But the bottom line is that in the past year, we've seen that we've gone from 1,800 people going to the website on a mobile device or on an iPhone to 20,000. So over the course of a year, you've jumped, 1,000% as far as how many people are going to this particular website on a mobile device versus going to it on a desktop computer, which I would assume translate pretty heavily across the board in the sense that most people are now accessing a lot of this information via mobile device versus a desktop computer. Same thing if you look at iPads, significant increase with the way people are using an iPad over a desktop computer. This is just going to continue to grow. I've noticed that more and more people, even at this conference, well, I still haul my computer everywhere because I have to. Everybody here is just working strictly off of some kind of a tablet computer. It's just much more convenient, and especially when people are sitting at home watching television, looking up, you know, this is a tourism destination, looking those things up, you have to assume that they're probably going to be looking at a different form other than a desktop computer. So making sure that the site is compatible with those users is huge. As you'll see then, before they had the mobile-friendly app or website, people were only going to 1.8 pages per time. Now they're going to 3.23 pages per time. So it's a lot easier for people to navigate when you make it mobile compatible. Are there any questions within this kind of piece right now? Okay. All right. Next one I'm going to, yeah, sure.
It didn't spike because conditions kept that amount. More people are just going out.
It very well could have been assisted by the fact that the economy has changed. It's hard to justify an increase of, 68% on the economy getting, a little bit better over the past year. I mean, it was a huge spike to go from. It's possible. I mean, anything's possible. So if you take that and then you couple it with the fact that they had a brand new website, you can draw whatever conclusions you want to. The thing is, you're never going to know, it was due specifically to the update of the website, or it was due to economic changes, or it was due to, some other factor. But what we do know is that over the course of the past year, the website traffic has significantly gone better. So maybe over the next year, it will be a more telling time to analyze things, because we'll be in a more, the economy will probably be a little bit more consistent. All right. So then going into traffic sources, this is one of the things that as a marketer is always very interesting to me, because now we can see how people are currently finding us. So the majority, and this is going to be fairly standard, majority of people, I'm actually going to take this part off now because it's going to start to get confusing. So the majority of people are coming to this site because they're typing in the actual name of the location. So they know about National Harbor, they've heard of it, they're typing it directly into a search engine, and that's how they're finding the site. But then as you kind of go through, you can see what particular keywords are being used the most, which can then help in your SEO efforts. So if we know that outside of National Harbor restaurants, National Harbor, Maryland, and events are, one of some of our top 10 keywords that are being searched and how they're finding us, we want to make sure that when we're putting content into the website that we're using these terms or these words, because people are already searching for them. Sorry, go ahead.
My website, my website may or may not appear at the top of the homepage, but then I would go down to see what other keywords people are using. That would only tell me that that's what it might be because of the keywords that are currently on my website, right?
Well, it's how they're getting there. This is how they are getting to your site. But for instance, if we see that only, National Harbor Events has 1,200 people found us by going to National Harbor Events, is there a way that we can take that key term, because we know people are probably using it, and enhance the content in our site so that when people are searching National Harbor Events, they're jumping from maybe 8 on the list to like number 3 on the list. So if we know they're using these key terms, we can make our content a little bit more robust with these so that it's easier for them to find us. What we don't know is when somebody searched National Harbor Events, we don't know if National Harbor showed up as the #1 search item or if it showed up as the number 10 search item. So if we know that they're searching this, we want to try and move that key term up higher in the list when they're searching. So this is just, there are a lot of ways to kind of figure out the keywords through experimentation to see what works. But right here is, they're very clearly telling you people are searching for you using these terms. And they're and like meta tags and within the actual content of the site. was a seafood wholesaler in Denver called Seattle Fish Company. Very confusing. And when you typed in Denver seafood, there was no way you would have ever stumbled upon Seattle Fish Company because it says Seattle in the name, and all of their content was very heavy with Seattle Fish Company, Seattle Fish Company, Seattle Fish Company. About 4 years ago, we updated their site and did a pretty extensive SEO, and I have to fully admit that's not necessarily my area of expertise, the SEO piece. We have an in-house digital director that is pretty versed in that, but he created a very robust SEO strategy for that particular website. And I would say over the course of 6 months, we saw when people were searching for Denver seafood, them jump from like page 2 to page 1, midway page 1, in probably about 6 months. So, I mean, for that particular example, that's about the time frame that it took. It's not really a science at this point of, if you do SEO, within 2 months, you'll jump from page 3 to page 1. It's just a matter of monitoring, and if you're not seeing a change, going back in and adjusting keywords or figuring out different strategies for it. So for the most part, we can go back to the referral traffic. We can see that the primary way that people are finding this particular website is by just doing a generic search through Google, for instance. So they're typing in National Harbor, one of those keywords, into a Google search engine, and then they're stumbling upon the website because it's probably one of the top items in the organic search. So this is pretty normal that this would be number 1 and Google being number 2. It gets interesting down here because now you can start to see that Facebook is now the number 5 referral to the website. It's not a huge number of visits, but it's definitely growing every year as far as people are posting status updates or items on their Facebook pages or Twitter. Their friends are seeing those posts and then clicking on the site from there. So we're seeing that Facebook is actually a fairly decent referral source, which means should we be doing more advertising or campaigns through Facebook? If Twitter was number 5, maybe we would think, well, let's try and do some kind of a Twitter campaign. If Google Plus was up here somewhere, we would think about doing more Google Plus advertising. Maybe with Facebook we decide to embark on a sponsored stories or Facebook advertising campaign to try and see if we can build this particular piece as a referral system for the website. Here, what's this one? Okay, so then this isn't quite as interesting, but you can see that obviously the top search engine is still hands down Google, followed by Bing and Yahoo, and AOL kind of going in a distant fourth at that point. But this isn't necessarily important as far as marketing, but it is just interesting to see that even though Bing has tried really hard to become kind of a bigger search engine, they're just really not succeeding very well. All right. So the last part that I'm going to kind of jump into for this purposes today is kind of looking a little bit more closely at the social referrals. Sure. No, it's the same. Google Chrome is the browser, and Google is the search engine. So yeah. All right. So of the 141,000 visits that we got over the course of November, only 1,100 of them technically came from social media platforms. However, what can we learn from the people that have come from those social media platforms so that we can grow this number in the future? So like I said earlier, we can see here that Facebook is the number 1 referral site for this particular website as far as social referrals go. Again, this helps us to understand that maybe we should be doing more advertising and more marketing through the Facebook. Interestingly, which doesn't happen for every website, since this is a destination tourism website, we see that TripAdvisor and Yelp are also high up on the list. So how can we capitalize on these 2 platforms? Is there a pay-per-click strategy that we could do that is ran on Yelp or TripAdvisor to try and grab those people that are searching for vacations in Washington, D.C.? So again, these are just kind of sites and ways to look at what you're currently doing, how can you grow that, what's working now, and how can we make them bigger and more robust. So currently, based on kind of what we're doing here now, the property, National Harbor property, is focusing on, for 2013, doing a much heavier push on marketing their site and their location through Facebook, and trying to capitalize on the fact that friend referrals to anything, whether it's a product, a shopping center, a destination, are always going to carry more weight than an advertisement from the actual brand or the actual, you know, shopping center, destination, etc. So 2013, the focus is going to be, how can we get our Facebook followers to share our content with their family and friends and try and build this number and capitalize on the fact that people are already doing this organically. How can we kind of push that behavior? As you can see, Twitter is not a huge referral for us, so we probably aren't going to focus that much, and Google Plus is just dismal. I don't know that it would ever be, I don't know if it really works for that many people at this point anyway. So this right here, these top three, are the focus for kind of the 2013 marketing strategy when it comes to online awareness for the property. So yeah, that's kind of the 101 basics of Google Analytics. It's let's see, is there one more in here? Content. No. I think that's, yeah, that's pretty much the basics. Anything beyond that, I'm not sure I would be able to explain very well. But does anybody have any other questions? Yeah, there are other search engines. Google Analytics is the best, and it's free. So while there are other, there are some that are really expensive analytics that they do all of the, so like right now I'm manually going through all this and pulling the information myself. So I'm finding all the page views and I'm compiling all of it and I'm analyzing it. There are systems out there, and I don't know the names because I've never used them, that you pay a pretty hefty fee for the system to do all that for you. Yeah. Not necessary. I would recommend Google Analytics hands down over anything else. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. The website is National Harbor. It's a it's in the Washington D.C. area. It's a kind of a tourism local. It's right on the water. They've got shopping, dining, etc.
You were summing things up. You said the one to highlight that free.
Google Analytics.
What is it?
Google Analytics. Yeah.
We were late, so we missed it. That's our thing. We get to sit down.
So when did you, I mean, I guess my question would be, too.
Yeah.
So, how did you start? So you just want to, you go to Analytics?
Yeah. I didn't set this one up, but yeah, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to add you have to host your site, I do know that, or you need to know the person who hosts your site, and they can set it up for you. But, you know, I can't just go and find a random website and then go and search their analytics.
Oh, I'd like to. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I have to do it here, right?
Right, yeah, you won't be able to do that. You have to somehow have like hosting, yeah, whoever manages your website will know how to get into the Google Analytics. All right.
Thank you very much.
Great, no problem. It's ANALYTIC. Yes. You betcha.
How was this show? We're the last show.
This is the last show. The last show of the day.